there's ambitious, and then there's delusional. So hey everyone, it is a new year and I, Kristen from Maybe Better Wanna Knits, am here today to talk to you about your Make 9 for 2023. Specifically, how to plan a Make 9 that you will actually finish, or at least make some really good progress on. So if you're not familiar, Make 9 is a challenge to plan 9 projects that you will complete in the coming year. I believe it started in the sewing community, and it has since expanded into the knitting community as well. This video is going to primarily be focused on knitting, but most of this applies to sewing as well. So we're going to talk about some ways to make sure that your Make 9 is realistic and feasible for the year. A caveat: no, I have not actually finished a Make 9. But I have made some really good progress on getting better at my Make 9 fulfillment. So last year I did about half, and that was definitely an improvement on the year before. And my inability to finish my Make 9 really has very little to do with what's actually on the Make 9. I've just got, a lot of other issues. That's not the point of this video. So let's actually get started on my tips for how to craft your Make 9 for 2023, so that when December rolls around, you might actually have 9 finished projects. The first thing is, don't put 9 sweaters on your Make 9. You're not going to make 9 sweaters. Nobody is going to make 9 sweaters this year. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. It doesn't matter that, yes, technically it's probably physically possible to make 9 sweaters. You're not going to do it. And if you're a sewist, put in, instead of sweaters, whatever the most complicated, time-consuming project that you like to sew is. Whether that's, really complicated shirt dresses or jeans with rivets and all kinds of pockets and a button fly, whatever the case may be, don't put 9 of them on your Make 9, because you're just setting yourself up for failure. So basically what I'm saying is, be realistic. Most of us take 2 or 3 months to finish a sweater. And if you're a new sweater knitter, it's probably going to be even longer. So while technically, yeah, you could probably finish a sweater in a month, are you going to? And are you going to do it for 9 months straight? A month and a week? Probably not. So be realistic about the kinds of projects that you're putting in your Make 9. In terms of sweaters specifically, if you are an experienced sweater knitter, 3 to 4 sweaters is probably a reasonable expectation. If you are a newer sweater knitter, move toward the 2 to 3 sweater range. Even if you're a fast knitter, you don't want to have sweater burnout. So you want to be realistic with your Make 9 projects and mix up your more time-consuming, complicated projects with some simpler things. There's ambitious, and then there's delusional. So yeah, you want to be ambitious. You don't want to be delusional. So you're not going to knit 9 sweaters. Don't put 9 sweaters on your Make 9, period. My next tip is to plan your Make 9 with your current wardrobe in mind. Assuming that what you're putting on your Make 9 is things that you're going to wear. If you knit or sew something else, that's kind of irrelevant. But for probably, I would say, the majority of crafters who are going to be knitting or sewing things on their Make 9 that they intend to wear, plan with your current wardrobe in mind so that you are more motivated to finish what is on your list. Don't just knit the thing that everybody else is knitting or sew the thing that everybody else is sewing. Yes, it's super popular, it's the latest design, everyone's doing it, and it's really cute, but does it really fit your wardrobe and your lifestyle? And if not, find something else. Because even if it's exciting to be kind of in that community space where we're all doing the same thing and supporting each other, you're going to be a lot less motivated to finish a project that has no place in your wardrobe or doesn't fit your lifestyle. So if you live in Florida, knitting the latest, Andrea Mallory colorwork yoke sweater, how often are you actually going to use that? Probably not very often. So look at what you currently have in your wardrobe. Look at the things that you wear. Look at the colors that you wear. Look at the styles that you wear, and pick some projects that are going to go with what you already have so that you know you'll be getting use out of them. It is a lot easier, at least in my experience, to focus on projects that you don't just want to have, but you want to use, you want to wear, you want to add to your wardrobe, you want to, you're picturing yourself wearing it at, whatever the event is. That's a lot more motivational than just, oh, if I finish this, I'll have the exact same sweater a whole bunch of other people do. You're creating your Make 9, maybe take a step back, and rather than just looking at the hot right now on Ravelry, consider what really is going to work for you in the long run. With the reminder that there are thousands of designers with millions of patterns out there, something no doubt will fit your wardrobe and your lifestyle. So that's the second point. Plan with your existing wardrobe in mind and with your existing style in mind, so that you don't end up starting projects that ultimately you don't have the impetus to finish because you know you're not going to use them. Add in some instant gratification projects. Now, with knitting, instant gratification doesn't mean usually, a day or two. But add in a few projects that are maybe going to just take you a week or two. A hat or a cowl, a pair of mittens, something you can kind of knock off and get that dopamine from having finished a project and having something new that you can use right away. That can be a real motivator to help you to keep going, because you get that sense of accomplishment you get when you finish a project can really be definitely a mood booster, and it can be a great reminder of how great it is to finish all of those languishing projects. So maybe you start your Make 9 with a sweater, and after a couple of months, you're still working on that sweater. Take a break, pick one of these smaller, quicker projects on your list, get that done. You're gonna get like this huge mood boost. You're going to be reminded of how great it is to actually, accomplish something, finish a project, and get to use it. And you're going to be able to take that back into some of the longer term projects on your list. So definitely add some of those instant gratification projects that you're going to be able to finish within a couple of weeks, and kind of sprinkle them throughout your Make 9 process. So you're doing 9 projects over 12 months. I didn't do the math. Alexa, what's 52 divided by 9?
52 divided by 9 is approximately 5.7778.
If you were to divide all of your projects evenly, they would take 5.7778 weeks apiece. So you know that if you've got a few sweaters in there, are clearly going to take much longer than that. If you add in a few 2 to 3 week projects in there, it's going to give you more time for your sweaters that are on your list, and it's going to give you that mood boost and that great sense of accomplishment that I think we can all agree is one of the great parts of knitting and sewing and basically all making. So that goes for sewing too. Some smaller projects on your list that you can finish, and even with sewing it's even better, you can sometimes finish them in a day or two, which is one of the things I like about sewing. My next tip is a little bit more practical, and that is to make sure that in your Make 9, you are including, and my suggestion is at least 3 projects that you already have yarn for in your stash, or in the case of sewing, fabric for in your stash. Yes, planning out the yarn and planning out the fabric can be a really fun part of the project, but at the same time, it's also a part that is going to bring all of your progress to a complete halt if you don't have some projects lined up that you've already planned for, because you are going to have to pick out your yarn and then either make the time to go shopping, or you're going to order it and it's going to take a while to arrive, or you're just going to be paralyzed by all of the yarn options thinking, well, the pattern calls for this yarn, I can't afford that, I can't find a good substitute, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think we've all been there. You just get really overwhelmed and then you do nothing. So definitely include some projects in your Make 9 that you've got all the supplies for already. That way, when you finish X project, you can just jump right into the next one. And related to that, while you are working on projects, and I'm not saying you're necessarily going to do one after the other, we all work on multiple projects at the same time, but while you are working on projects, you can also be preparing for your next projects. So buying those patterns, figuring out your size, picking out and ordering your yarn, shopping for your yarn, swatching, which I know you're all going to do so that your Make 9 sweaters fit and you're not disappointed when they're done and they don't fit. So those are all things that you can do simultaneously. Work on project X and plan for project Y. So that's going to help you out in 2 ways. When you're working on project X and you hit a tough spot or you're just getting a little bored, you can focus on planning for project Y. And then when you're done project X, project Y is already lined up. But even if you're doing that simultaneous planning, I still suggest at least 3 projects already have the yarn or already have that fabric in your stash, so that, things happen, we get busy, especially in the summer, it's hot and the children are at home and, everything is chaotic, and maybe you're not going to be, having the headspace to plan for a new project. Oh, great, I already have the yarn for this. I can just kind of get started without having to put too much thought into it. All right, and my last piece of advice to help you succeed with your Make 9 is to be flexible. There are no knitting police. There are no sewing police. If you put a project on your Make 9 and 2 months later you hate it, you can change it. Nobody's going to come and arrest you or take away your knitting needles or your sewing machine. It's okay. Just change it. It's fine. Don't dedicate your time to creating something that you're not going to use or you don't want just because it's on this list of projects that you made for yourself a few months ago when you were a different person. We're all a different person in January than we are in August. Also, be flexible in terms of your project. If you are starting your project with some yarn and you decide you don't like it, don't just keep going. If you don't like it now, you're not going to like it when the project is done. And the same is true for your fabric. Stop and start again. Pick a different fabric, pick a different yarn. So yes, your Make 9 is supposed to be this personal crafting challenge. The point of crafting is to make things you like and that you're going to use. And I think that supersedes the personal crafting challenge part of it. So, we all have precious little time. Don't spend it on a project that you don't like because the yarn is wrong or the fabric is wrong. And the same goes for the size. If you are working on your project and you can already tell it is not going to fit, don't keep going. Blocking can only fix so much. Blocking might get you, an extra inch in the size. That's about it. It might get you an extra inch in the length. That's about it. So if you can tell that your project is way too big or way too small, stop and redo it. Don't waste time knitting something that isn't going to fit. Not only that, but if you know it's not going to fit, you're not going to be motivated to finish it anyway. Then it's just going to derail your whole progress for the 9 months. So, does ripping things out suck? Absolutely. It's the worst. But is it worse than spending 40 or 50 hours knitting a project that's not going to fit? No, I promise it isn't. So, if you can tell your project isn't going to fit, start over. Ultimately, yes, the Make 9 is a personal crafting challenge, but that is not a reason to be rigid and inflexible. Make changes, change projects, change yarn, change fabric, change things up to suit your needs and your tastes and your style, so that at the end of your Make 9, you have 9 projects that you love and are actually going to use. All right, those are my best tips for crafting a Make 9 that you will actually finish, or at least come close. I would love to hear your suggestions for crafting a Make 9 that will bring you joy and actually get finished. So please leave a comment, let me know what you think. This is my Make 9 for 2023. So if you want to hear more about that and hear about my progress with it, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you can check out the Elo and Stitch podcast, where I'll be talking about my progress on my Make 9, starting in the next episode, which will be next Saturday, where I'll be explaining all the projects in my Make 9 and what my plans are for them. I hope you found some value in this video. I greatly appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel, all of those things that tell the algorithm that you are interested in this kind of content, and maybe some other people will be too. I do hope I will see you in a future video, and until next time.